hindsight's always 2020. Now that you have a phenomenal deal that's generating great income, it seems logical. But you didn't know, for sure that would be the case at that point, So what gave you the confidence, I guess, to move forward? Because that's where I think a lot of people stop is like,
I agree.
They think it's potentially possible, but they're not willing to take the next step.
Oh, dude, it is scary. It is, in my opinion, it's probably the scariest thing I've ever done. And I've been and done some pretty scary things. That was just the thought of like, okay, I just submitted this offer. My name is on this thing. If they accept it, like I just signed up for this. I mean, of course you can back out, you can get some of your earnest money back or maybe not or whatever. So there may be an option period and stuff. So there's a little bit there, but still you start to realize really quickly, like this is going to cost you something. So you better be ready. I think for me, and I think we're all chasing certainty in life. I think that's what we're all after. If I can examine something, even in my own businesses, and be like, okay, if I do X, Y, and Z, it's going to get me to this outcome. And I think we all want that. I think it's a self-preservation tactic. I think it's fear and risk mitigation 101 is really what we're doing. But I think sometimes that fear, it really is overwhelming where you're like, okay, I just signed up for this mortgage. Even if it's an LLC, right? You're still going to sign up as a personal guarantee, which I've done. And so you have a little bit of that weighing on you. For me, I think what really clicked for me, Kirby, and again, this is, for those watching and listening, like this is not, I swear this is not an infomercial for Kirby, even though this is incredibly helpful for him. But
I'll send you some money.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But no, I gained a lot more confidence when I saw just the way, and as I worked through the program, to me, it seemed like, and I think your going in proposition is like, this is going to happen. It's like, you don't have a choice. You are going to, that's kind of how I felt. Right. And like, not in a negative kind of way, but like, hey, this is what you're going for. This is what you're going to do. Here's the steps. You can get there. You can follow the steps. So I feel like it did eliminate a large amount of my uncertainty. And then every time I had a question or another potential roadblock, it was you either answered it on a call or it was in the Facebook group or it was in a video already or something. And so, or if I was just honest with myself, I was just being scared. Right. And so it's like, okay, well, let's address the fear, right? Because I mean, you should pay attention to fear, right? Let's not be stupid, but let's understand what that fear really, like, what is it really? And in a lot of cases, it's actually an education gap. And so you just got to get educated on whatever you think the hindrance is, whether it's a financing loophole or I have no idea, some type of weird thing like in some inspection clause or some random ordinance or whatever. Like, okay, that can be overcome with some education. So go investigate that. Right. So
that makes sense. And let's talk about the deal now. Like,
okay.
So what were the steps involved, I guess, in the deal? So first, I guess, how'd you find this initial deal that you did?
Man, well, you were so patient with me because I kept like bugging the heck out of you on the Monday calls with my analyzer. Or no, I wasn't even to the analyzer yet. I was to but the market selection part of the thing. And so, and I'm going off the deep end trying to, I mean, which it was really important, by the way. Like, so I'm not downplaying.
It's a process.
Like it is yeah, absolutely. So there's a little bit of that survivor bias, right? Of like, oh, well, don't worry about it. Now, well, you should worry about it so you can get educated, so you can learn, and then you're better equipped going forward, right? And so I was investigating all sorts of markets local to me, markets that were way far away, or some that were a few hours away. And so I was just slowly kind of working my way through like average daily rates, occupancy rates, what's the demand, what are the draws, what's the average price of the home, like just how efficient, what kind of cash on cash returns could I possibly expect. I was probably going a little too in the weeds, but I still think it was a really beneficial process. And so, and she will always get credit for this to this day, but Tiffany was the one who found the property. It wasn't even, I didn't even find it. And so, and she will remind you of that too. And she deserves all the credit for it. In fact, I call her our property sniper because she's already looking for our next deal. And I joke that, I mean, I'll probably present her 20 different properties that I think are maybe viable, and she'll present like one, and and it's not good. It's not me just saying yes, ma'am, right? It actually is a good deal. So,
all
but
20.
this multifamily property popped up, and it's in a town not too far from here. It's really more of like a secondary market to the Dallas Fort Worth area. That's where I am right now, and it's in a town that's not. It's like on the outskirts of DFW, but but it has its own identity, so to speak. So it's related. It's close enough to all the attractions of DFW, but it also has some of its own stuff going on. And it is an old, rundown looking house, but it was charming. Like, I'm like, man, this is a really nice looking property. But then I clicked through the photos. I'm like, ugh, like, no, this thing looks terrible. And then it was off the market, so it was under contract. It happened twice, actually. And so we're looking at other properties. We're looking like at Waco and, just other places around the area. And then it pops up again because we still couldn't decide what the heck we're going to do. And at this point, now it's my idea, right? Like, I can look back on that and say that now without too much pride. But like, oh, we should do something like this because it's a multifamily property. We can realize a lot of efficiencies here. And she's like, that's what I've been trying to tell you. And I'm like, okay. So so I reached out. I called the realtor for that property, and I needed a proof of funds. So I called a buddy who screenshotted his brokerage account for me, and I provided that as my proof of funds. And then I was able to walk the property, and yeah, it was rough, man. It was a really, really bad property. Is it okay if I go into detail here? Like, do you want me to keep going into the weeds?
I'd love to hear more. So what is it that, so as you're describing it, it sounds like one that you'd want to avoid rather than purchase. So what is it about this property that drew you to it?
Yeah, I mean, so it was built. So the main house was built in 1895, and it is on a major, like the main street of Denton. And it literally with a good tailwind and a good arm, you could almost hit the square with a football from that front yard. I mean, it's a very close walk to some major attractions of like what makes that place popular. And then going the other way on the same street, but just walking the opposite direction on the sidewalk, you are not even it's like the same distance to a major college campus there. And so, and plus the old historic charm of the property, there was a quaintness and it looked really nice. It was a really nice from the external. There was something about it that we could see past the ugly, the deferred, like massive deferred maintenance, and the owners just not taking care of the property. Like, we could see beyond it. And we had a vision for what this could look like. And we're not even all the way there. Like, there's still even a few more things I'd like to do down the road to even make it pop even more. But
beautiful. Now.
But no, we saw the potential in it. And so the price point I thought it was palatable, given that it was actually a 5-unit. And so we just did the numbers. I'm like, man, like, if we can buy this low enough, and I negotiated pretty hard to get the price down. We talked it off, I think $75,000. And we're able to secure it because it was going to need a lot of work. And so we got at that price point, and I knew even after rehab and all the work that we're going to have to do on this, it's going to be worth something, and it's going to stick around. It's going to be a staple. It's going to be something that people want to go see.
Yeah. So you mentioned it's 5 units. So it's a 4-unit building with a coach house. So 5 units on one property, so you get these multiple streams of income. You mentioned it was in and out of contract with other potential buyers a couple times, which I think is a huge advantage. So you were able to negotiate $75,000 off their asking price at the time. And I think a lot of times that happens when it's gone in and out of contract several times. There's typically reasons for that, and sellers get a lot more motivated to entertain, solid offers then. So these are things to pay attention to if you're listening to this and wondering how this, such a great deal comes about. So can you talk through what the initial numbers kind of look like? You don't have to go into every single detail, but an overview of how everything, your projections were shaking out on it.
Yeah, and I'm working off of one screen here, so I don't know if I want to try to go alt tab and start trying to toggle through windows because my computer will probably go haywire here. So I am going to shoot from the hip on this, and I apologize. It's probably not going to be like ultra accurate, but it'll be close.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So like, do you want me to use like actual dollar amounts?
Great.
Yeah. Okay. So we secured the property. I want to say it was for 525, if my memory is right. They listed it for like 595. We got it down to like 515 or 520, somewhere around there. It was about $75,000 is what we got off of it. We knew off the top of our heads that it was going to be at least $100,000 rehab, like easy. And so this is where being new and naive works for your benefit and works against you at the same time. Because I think looking back on it, I'm like, dang, I should have budgeted way more for the rehab, like way more for the rehab. But we made it happen. And so we spent, geez, I apologize, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we spent, it had been at least $150,000 on the rehab at a minimum. And then we spent probably another, again, I'm trying to recall the P&L statement that I had printed out. We had probably another $50,000 into it with furnishings and stuff. So significant expense. Like we're not talking a little bit. So I think all in for this property, we're at 700 something is probably where we're at. Once interest rates cool down a little bit, I'd like to go get it refinanced and get it reappraised and just see what happens. Cause I think it'll price for a lot more than what we bought it for sure.
Yeah. So you anticipated having closer to 650 probably into it. Cause I know the initial P&L you sent me or projections, you had 65,000 on there for furnishings and I think 100 for rehab. So you're, $40,000-$50,000 over on the rehab, which for that age of a property and that size of a property, it's not too bad actually.
Yeah.
So you're all in for about 700,000. What did the income side of the equation look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what's been really cool is we are only, what is it, June? So we are only in our third complete month of operations. So we're glazing over a lot of details here too, because we did a full, it was a full rehab, and I've never done this before, right? So like I didn't go do the turnkey thing that would have been a lot easier, a lot less stressful, right? I went and did a capital raise and borrowed everything, did a HELOC, had to deal with the city, did subcontractors. I mean, it was like, here we go. Like, this is how Tiffany and I roll, apparently, is we've always done this. It's always been, we're just going to go swim in the ocean, right, to just get started. And so at the end of the day, even after all of our debt, like the mortgage and another note that we have on it, we're still clearing several $1,000s per month. And so we're in this spot where in May, we saw it was over, I want to say it was over $12,000 in gross revenue. This month is actually a down month for whatever reason. We're going to be probably 9 or so. July is already looking a lot better. But so I feel like we're actually in the slow season is what it almost feels like in the summer. And then during the school year, because it is a college town, I think that's when it's going to be pretty substantially busy. So we're learning that and figuring that out too, because as you get the reviews and you get the feedback from guests, you're starting to understand why are they actually coming here. And for us, it's been everything college and weddings. Those seems to be the two big things. There's been a couple tournaments that people go to for sports and stuff, but it's been college related stuff and some weddings. So, and then a few like transient workers, people that are like in between houses and stuff. So there's a lot.
Yeah. The projections you sent me, I think initially you're projecting just over $200,000 of gross income per year, and then about 50% expense ratio, so about $100,000 of expenses. So you're left with about $100,000 of cash flow. Which I want to talk about the financing, how you ended up doing the financing. It's not all cash flow that's net cash flow to you guys. You have some partners on the deal, but that's phenomenal projections for a $600,000 property to net $100,000 per year is pretty nice.